Hey everybody, this is Steven, the Dungeon Gardener, and I want to talk about a little bit more from last week. I was saying last week we were in plans to expand our property, and so here's the marker here, and it is done. The property was so close to our fence, I'm not even sure if you can see it, but I mean it was literally up against our fence. So we wanted to do that because they were going to put a house here, and we didn't want a house right next to us, and I was also going to lose all those trees. I thought those trees were my property because there were previous trees lining the property line on both sides of my house. That was completely wrong, but property goes from that marker I showed you a second ago all the way to this marker. And if you can see, there's a marker over there. I'm not sure if you can see. Maybe I'll walk back there. There's stuff I feel like I can do past that creek, but it's done. We have the deed, it's signed, everything is done, and I'm gonna talk to you about some things that I'm gonna be working on this week and next week. River, come on River, stay away from that road. So here I am. I'm going to plant 2 of my figs in ground, and I'm well aware that it's best practice to plant your trees near your house to get a microclimate, but I have struggled to find a good location. Lots of my yard is really bad clay, and I know they can grow there, but it's more ideal for them to be in nice dark soil. And also there's very small places that will get enough sun. Like right there, if I put it next to my house right there, my trees won't get sun till after 1 o'clock, and here they'll get sun from early morning to late night all day long. And that's what it's all about. It's about fruit quality, it's about the sun. So I winter protected this tree. I did cut off one of the ends, and it looked kind of green. I might have to cut some. So I'm not really too concerned about me messing up winter protection, because I hurt my back when it was time to cover these trees up. And so I didn't cover it, and it was exposed to the coldest part of the winter. But I think it shows some sign of life, maybe. But even if it doesn't, last year it grew straight from the roots, and that's why it's actually in the bush form. So I'm not too worried about that. Next year, hopefully I won't have that situation, and I can cover it earlier. But I am planning on doing 2 more fig trees that were potted last year. Neither one of them I got figs from last year, and the reason for that is, they're just young. This one is a Desert King, and so they actually only produce edible figs in last year's wood. So but what's nice about it, you're just supposed to get early figs, and I'm in zone 7B, or I think I'm in zone 7B. I could be 7A. I think it's 7B, which is not the best for figs. So having figs earlier is a better situation. And this one right here is a Celeste, a sugar fig, and this is supposed to be a very hardy fig. And the reason I'm going ahead and planting these here is for the sunlight and the soil, because most of my yard is like red clay or even gray clay, and it's terrible. But this front portion of my yard is nice dark soil. I mean, it's even dried out a little bit. Earlier I uncovered and it was even darker, and it's just beautiful soil. So I'm planning to kind of make a triangle. So one's gonna be lined up with there, and then this one's gonna be here. And hopefully next week, these bushes, I'm going to cut them down. The only benefit I see from these bushes are they are evergreens, and they can, in fact, help with a little wind barrier. So, but if I'm going to cover the trees anyhow, I might as well cut them down. Those two don't look too bad. This one, there's a dang tree grown in the middle, and I've cut it down like 3 or 4 times, and it grows in a second, and I can't get to it. I don't have a tractor to pull it out, so my method is just cut it as close to the ground as possible, and then sprayed some weed killer on there. I've done that with a couple other bushes, and it seemed to work. So, anyhow, that's the plan. And I've got to, River, come over here, get out of there. So it'll be lined up to my peach tree, but in a triangle. And you know, I know people say, hey, you know, these are going to get huge. They don't have to get huge. I mean, they get as big as I'll let them get. I mean, I could move the hole over a little bit to give a little bit more space. That might be wise to do. I've already dug the one hole. So, but I have right here, I lined up this tree right here with Matoka plum. And so that's the Toka plum, this little boy right here. And this right here is I'm not sure if I pronounced this right, Ichi-Ki-Kei-Jiro Persimmons. It's a non-astringent Persimmons. I decided to get it because it looks so good on Millennial Garden's channel when he ate one. So shout out to Millennial Gardener for inspiring me to put one of those in. And as far as I'm getting one more tree, this one right here was from Stark Brothers. It's very little, but the comments said they all said they were little and ended up doing good. So hopefully it'll be fine. And I got a Nikita's gift. I chose these two trees. I chose these two trees, Nikita's gift and the Ichi-Ki-Kei-Jiro Persimmons, because they're small. One day I might allow a bigger variety down there, you know, just leave it be and not even really pay attention to it and see what it does in 5-6 years. But this one is a nice dark soil, and I could potentially put another one right here and just really prune the limbs to where they don't bump into each other. And ironically, right here, lining up right there on this spot is also nice dark soil, but lining up right here is not. So that tree right there on is clayish soil. This spot is clayish soil, and then over here it's more dark. And then this is like a secondary driveway. I'm gonna leave that untouched. But over here on this side of the driveway is all darkish soil, and I might take advantage of one day. So that's what I'm doing today, and I'll just have a yearly time where I will wrap the fig trees. Like I say, if it dies back, they're gonna grow back. I'm not really worried about that. You know, 2 of the varieties are very hardy, and I know they'll grow back, and I've heard some good things about the hardiness of the Desert King, but I haven't experienced that. I really wanted the Desert King because they say they taste like strawberries, and my wife loves strawberries. So here's an apple tree, and you can see here there's buds all over, you know. And this one really didn't have a lot of flowers year after year. It never really had a lot of flowers until I just took the grass away, and all of a sudden it started to have a lot of flowers. So I thought about cutting things down because the fruit quality wasn't very good. And like I say, this is clay soil. So I'm not sure if it's gonna get any better than this. And this is obviously a dwarf tree. It doesn't grow very big. It's probably as big as it's gonna be. So, and it wasn't that amazing. It really wasn't. So here's my cherry tree. And so this has been a nice surprise, because if you can see here, all up and down, there are buds swelling on every branch. I mean, look at that. This is a Valladela cherry tree that I got from Raintree. This will be its 3rd year. It's almost trying to open up here. Yep, it's trying to open up. And look at this one. It's cold out. I hope it stays for a couple more days. In about a week, it's gonna really heat up. So I'm hoping it'll hold off for a little while. I'm gonna hand pollinate this one, make sure it goes. This tree is a blessing and a curse, because the June bugs love this tree over any other. But the fruit will actually come before June. This is a very early variety. So I should be able to pick the fruit before, you know, the June bugs come out. And then it's a beautiful tree, but then the June bugs are going to destroy and attack this tree, just like it did last year, and it'll just look ugly and unhealthy. But then the tree will, how do I say this, will encourage the June bugs to come to it and not towards the other trees. River, good girl, good girl. So it's kind of like, it's trap crop. And so I know last summer they would be filling, they'd be all over this cherry tree, and I would come out with some soap and kill them. And I filled up these bags. These bags are filled up. And so all those June bugs are not going to be reproducing. Here, I took a lot of grass clippings and leaves, and I mulched it up. So I have high hopes that I'm going to get a decent harvest from this. And I did have a taste the 2nd year, and it was delicious. So hopefully I'll get something. So just coming back here, my new piece of property, I'm very fortunate, feel very blessed. And back here is, eventually, the farther you go back, the nicer, the darker the soil gets. One day, if I could afford it, I'd love to cut some of these pecan trees down. I mean, they're just going to get bigger and bigger, and they're going to take up more and more water from the ground. And I would like to be able to plant some stuff that I have. I mean, I've got like 13, 14 pecan trees. I like pecans, but it's a lot of work bending over, picking them up off the ground. So it's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work doing that, and it's just very high calorie. So I feel like I would be doing a lot of the work just to give it to other people. So I didn't really pick up a whole bunch last year. The year before I did, and I didn't even get a third of them, and I had like massive amounts. But over here, it's really good soil. It doesn't look like it, but it's just these pecan trees. They block the sun, and they suck up a lot of the water. I don't know if I'll do it I definitely won't do it this year, maybe not next year, but eventually. Here's a little ditch / creek here. I like to take this pecan tree now that I now own, apparently. I like to take it down. I like to take that one down and open up the sun a little bit, and maybe put you know, a couple other, maybe 1 or 2 other varieties of persimmons, because I really do love persimmons. It's one of the best fruits out there. I don't know why We don't sell them like apples. They're absolutely delicious. And they grow really well around here. Every yard should have our persimmons. And the other thing is, I was thinking maybe 2 pawpaw trees. Pawpaw trees like a lot of water, and so if I planted them real close to this water, they would get a good soak. It would rain, and then the creeks would be filled up a little bit, and they would get a little bit more water. But it's also very far from the hose, so if it's a young tree, it may not do so well if I can't reach the hose to it. I'm not sure, but that's just a thought in my head. But just to be able to plant it in a low spot, maybe right there, but my neighbor, she actually cuts this grass right here by her request. She wanted to cut it so it would be uniform with her yard. That's fine, as long as she knows that I can do what I want with it. But she doesn't want me to do what I want with it. But I do feel right here, I've checked the soil here, right here is really nice dark soil, and I feel like there's a spot here right around here that it'll get sun. The sun comes up there, it'll get sun, and then it'll get sun going out that way, and I feel like this would be a good spot for a tree. And so this is all really nice dark soil, but in between the front yard and the backyard is clay. So, but back here is not going to get as much sun because you get all these dang trees that I don't want. So if I had a real chainsaw, I mean, some of these smaller trees, I feel confident that I could get them cut down myself. But some of the big ones like this, like what am I going to do with that thing if I cut it down? I feel like I would have to get someone professional to cut these trees down. Hold on. Watch how good my dog is. Watch how good she is. River! Run, come on, let's go, let's go! She loves the freedom to be outside. I recently just had a loss, and recently I just lost my father last week. I've had a really hard time with it, as anybody who lost a good dad would expect to have. And my wife, she said she talked to him when she was in a truck, and he was like, I don't really know where my son got his green thumb. I don't really understand why he feels like, why does he like to be outside so much? Why does he like to plant trees? He said, I never did that. Why does my son do it? And really it's because, ironically, he didn't understand why, but it really was because of him. My dad was a truck driver, and he worked 5 and sometimes 6 days a week, and they had about 1.5 acres of yard and a push mower. And starting at 7 years old, I was the one cutting the grass. I was responsible for it. And so I was out there with a push mower every week, pushing all the way till I was a senior. And when I was a senior in high school, he bought this big old tractor with a finishing mower. And I was like, Dad, you finally bought a tractor all this time? And he's like, son, I could have bought a tractor the whole time. He says, I just wanted to see you sweat. I just wanted to see you work. And he didn't understand why I like to be outside so much with my trees and seeing things grow. But inadvertently, it's all my dad's fault. as a kid, you want to be inside. It's hot. It's 90 degrees. It's 95 degrees, and you want to be, inside. And I had to go outside. Now I love to be outside. So I miss my dad. Being out here to me is therapeutic. You get to get a little vitamin D. You get a chance to build your kingdom. Well, there's a lot of things you can't do financially. If you don't have a lot of money or whatnot, you can't sit there and maybe build a garage or buy a fancy truck or something like that. But maybe you can do something small to build your little kingdom that God has given you, a little homestead, and to put up a tree, and then maybe one day you can eat that fruit and provide food for your family. So it's been a therapeutic thing for me to be out here in the dirt. So, River, stay away from the road. Come here. So anyhow, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys. Peace. I'm out.